Speak with Alex Wilson, who's a Reform UK member of the London Assembly. Afternoon to you, Alex.
Afternoon, Ian.
Nice to have you with us. It's interesting, isn't it? It was only, a year ago when Nigel Farage was talking about overtaking the Tories, and I think, reform on 14%. That was totemic. It was big news at the time. This is in another league of transformation in terms of the state of British politics.
Absolutely. I mean, we've had a fantastic start to the new year in terms of polling, building very strongly on the successes we had in the London election and the general election last year. Every poll that's been published since the general election, we've been on a higher score than we were at the general election. And in particular, it's sort of December and now into January, it's really gone off the scale. So this score from YouGov, 25%, our highest ever with them. It's really significant because YouGov are one of the most reputable and well-established pollsters, not just here in Great Britain, but across the world. Yep. So to be on 25% with them is really worth having. But you should never get too excited about one individual poll. Look at the trend. And the 5 polls that have come out since the new year, 3 of them, we're in second place. The average, therefore, for January so far, this is the first time this has happened, the polling average for January, Reform UK is in second place. And what that means is that we are the challengers to Labour now. Yeah. If you want to get Starmer out, it's Reform that's going to do that.
What is responsible for this, Alex? I mean, I'm sure there's lots of reasons, and not just one, but what do you put it down to? What is happening on the political landscape to see a party that only has 5 MPs at the moment riding so high in opinion polls? Why?
Yeah, I mean, at the moment, we only have 5 MPs, as you say, but they are all shouting very, very loud, making their voice heard and talking about the issues that really matter to a lot of people out there in the country who are feeling that up till now their voice hasn't really been heard. But it's a really interesting time in British politics. I think people are still very much aware of the failings of the last Conservative government, but already the Labour government, the wheels have come off. We all knew they'd be terrible. We didn't realise quite how bad they'd be and quite how quickly the wheels would come off. But that creates a really, really big opportunity for a party like us to seize the initiative, take the agenda forwards, and really make some progress with that. And it's the polling is the kind of national headline that shows where that momentum is moving. But on top of that, we're having packed rallies, regional conferences last weekend and the weekend just gone. I had 4 of those events. I spoke at 2 of them. Audience absolutely buzzing with energy, excitement, and keen to hear how we move forwards. Our membership surge, which has been talked about an awful lot over the last few weeks. We're now comfortably clear of whatever figure the Conservatives would like to say that their membership is at. And that means we've got a huge new army of activists, volunteers, potential candidates. We were really looking forward to the council elections coming up this year. It's understandable, I guess, given how well we're doing, that the main parties don't want a lot of those elections to take place. I'm sure that's got nothing to do with their hesitancy to go ahead with elections at all. But it shows where we are. It's a pivotal moment in British politics. Things like this don't come along very often. It's now incumbent on us to make sure that we deliver on these opportunities and the fact that people are giving us a hearing, listening to what we want to say. This time last year, I doubt a quarter of the electorate would have even heard of us. Now a quarter of the electorate are saying they would vote for us if there was a general election tomorrow.
Indeed.
I think that's phenomenal and very much looking to ride that wave.
I mean, trying to translate it, however, into Westminster success is, of course, partly because of our interesting first-past-the-post system, is difficult. And the smart money says if there was an election tomorrow, yes, Reform would come back with, it could be 70, 80 MPs. It would divide the right-wing vote. And therefore, Labour are back again. Still could be called a landslide for Labour, even with that change in how people vote. And still not enough to put Reform into the driving seat.
We obviously do face a challenge with the first-past-the-post voting system. It's an electoral system that worked well in historical times when there were 2 large parties and you'd go from Labour to Conservative, Conservative to Labour, and the system enabled that to happen and change a government that was clearly in line with what people were voting for at the time. In an era of multi-party politics, that breaks down. We're very keen to bring about a change to the voting system. I think it's, I'm on the London Assembly, and that's a body that is elected by proportional representation. It means that everybody has the opportunity to have their voice heard. I think the same should apply at Westminster, and then we'd get an outcome that people actually voted for. The election that happened in July last year was the most disproportionate result in terms of translating votes into seats that has ever happened in our history. That shows the system is broken. It needs to change. We want to be part of that change, and when that happens, then we can be part of the government.
There it is.